I was involved briefly with a married man who believed he had the courage to leave his wife to be with me and to live his truth. This isn't the typical story of a married man promising to leave his wife for a secret lover. Rather, this is a story in part about a gay man who knew he was gay before he got married, but chose to marry a woman because he didn't know how to break free. Rocky and I met on a gay social media site 3 months after I returned to the East Coast to live, and just 11 months after he was married. At the time we met, he was living and working in Dubai as a contractor for the government on a military base, while his wife was stationed in Tallahassee, Florida, where they had a home. In one of the first messages he sent me, Rocky shared that he was married, but that he had regrets. He explained that he had come out to his mother and siblings when he was 18 years old. He sat there. To listen to more of One Thing for Certain, Two Things for Sure, a memoir continued, visit audible.com.
Come on out. Come on out. Craig, come the fuck on out. You came through with this goddamn book. Let me tell y'all something. I ain't read no damn book and I don't know how long, but somehow Craig turned a ratchet bitch into a reader, bitch. Damn, my tongue real slippery. Bitch can't even talk, but bitch, I can read. Come on out. Anyway, by the time I got done with this damn book, bitch, I felt like I need to go sit on my back porch and smoke me a long cigarette while wearing a old nasty Caucasian damn witness protection wig, bitch. When I tell you he dropping 10 here, he talk about Tyler Perry, Brandy, bitch. Oh, girl, this book had my coochie on hard, had my coochie lips on blue, had me hot and moist like a KFC biscuit, bitch. Oh, Jesus, girl. By the time I got done, y'all, I felt like a boss, bitch. You made me want to go out and do things with my goddamn life, bitch. He talk about damn heartbreak, everything, girl. Come on out. I was on an emotional roller coaster, Craig. Come on out. Jesus.
Good day, thinkers, thought leaders, progressives, and dreamers. I'm Craig the Writer. Wait, that's not what this is. This is from my Patreon, my exclusive video diary. Get a behind-the-scenes look of my life with my friends, family, behind-the-scenes recording of So Much to Say podcast, and the Queen's Supreme Court live show. You done poofed, girl. You in the chair. Poof. There's even a subscription level for aspiring writers. My Patreon video diary is just $5 a month. I'm in here starving.
Let me tell you what this bitch.
And what information do you know, Sydney?
The phone number.
I just thought they were just interviewing me, asking me, general questions. You got So join now. Visit www.patreon.com/Craig the Writer Stewart. Bye. Hey girl, hey. Hey boy, hey.
Hey you guys, how are you guys doing tonight? And see, this is what you should have been doing while you too busy playing the commercial.
I know. I just thought about it.
You should have been doing
posting and doing all of those
doing
things.
The things you're supposed to be doing.
Doing all of the things. Go ahead and hit the like button, please, and hit the share button, and hit the subscribe button. And if you have not already subscribed to my channel, and not just mine, but also Derek's.
Yes.
Yeah, so good day, thinkers, thought leaders, progressives, and dreamers. I'm Craig the Writer Stewart.
And I'm Derek J. And we are here with another conversation for you guys.
And we're discussing hyper masculinity.
Yes.
Did you want to break down for them what we mean by that? Like hyper masculinity?
Well, I'm not that. So I don't
We know that, but you have a working knowledge of what we are live right now. But you have a working knowledge of what
hypermasculinity is. Why would I have a working knowledge of it?
Well, because we're a part of the community. So for me, when I think of hypermasculinity,
you just kind of just throw me in the community. I'm not really part of it, but
you're not part of the community.
You don't have to get close to the mic.
Get close to the
you
mic.
don't have to get close to the mic.
Wait,
put the mic back.
You're not part of the community?
No, I am.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I mean, because you're sitting here in the caftan and all.
Well, I'm at home comfortable. I'm in the comfort of my own home.
You're the only man I know that wears caftans.
No, you're not. No, I'm not. It's plenty of men.
I bought a couple caftans.
I know. The thing is that you're.
I haven't worn them.
It's you Americanized men that.
It's very European.
Yeah, I know.
It's very European.
I'm well traveled.
Speaking of, if you'd like to support us right here to keep these things going, we have a few more conversations to go.
4 more to go.
Is it 4 more to go?
5.
We have like 5 more to go.
5 more conversations.
We're gonna go right into like the beginning of December, right?
Yep.
And we're gonna take a little hiatus just to kind of regroup
and get our minds
right. Let's come up with some more topics, even though we've already started, listing those topics, and then we'll set a date that we're gonna return. But we have to pay for those flyers and things to promote these things. So if you all want to support us, here's how you do it. That's Derek's Cash App, and this one is mine right here. Hey, girl, hey.
I know y'all know Craig's Cash App. But yeah, so we're talking about hypermasculinity.
Is there something you wanted to say?
Do you want me to say it? That's a great question. We are talking about hypermasculinity, and basically, because we got a lot of emails. We got emails from people thinking that we were talking about, like we were downplaying, like talking bad about masculinity. We're not talking about that.
Right.
Like, it's one thing about being masculine, and there's one thing about being hypermasculine. And hypermasculine is the ones that they feel they have to prove their masculinity. And and it's not just men that has hypermasculinity. A lot of lesbian women.
Because I've talked about that before.
They can be hypermasculine.
There are a lot of lesbians, studs, if you will, who feel the need to assert their masculinity, especially when they're in a room full of men, whether they're gay men or bisexual men or straight men. A lot of times, lesbians, the more virile ones, feel the need to, be really like aggressive to kind of let like, I'm here too, and I'm about it, whatever. And it's just like, calm down. It's okay. It really is okay. Can
you turn your ringer on?
Oh, let me silence that.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll silence that. I'm sorry.
Not your first time at the rodeo.
Pardon me. At the rodeo. But yeah, hypermasculinity. So that's really what we wanted to talk about. So we have a couple panelists here that are going to help us with this conversation.
Yeah. Because I don't think because you're definitely not hypermasculine.
No, I'm just even.
With a little downward slope, a little bit.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Just a little downward slope.
Coming in.
Downward slope. You go.
Did you just try me?
I didn't try you
because you're not gonna make me get ugly on film.
No, I'm not. I didn't try you.
I know the gays know that line. You're not gonna make me get ugly on film.
I'm just saying that you are even. I mean, it's just a light.
Just a little
decline. Just a little light.
Just a little light decline.
Yeah, it's a little light.
I know y'all know what that line is from. That's from Jackie's Back. You're not gonna make me get ugly on film.
Yeah, so everybody know, but we know about Jackie Washington.
I know that's right. Every July 15th is Jackie Washington Day.
So let's get
started.
So where you want to start? So once again, the thing is, listen, people. When we ask you guys to email us about conversations and you want to join the conversation, make sure it's we don't change the time. It's every other Wednesday 9:00.
Right.
So don't email us and then we email you back and then you don't email back and you send all this long stuff and we try to reach out to you and you don't answer the phone.
And you got our intern calling you and texting you for nothing.
So it's just too much. Well, it's not really an intern because we pay her. It's an employee.
Right. Or a contractor.
We're a contract. We contractor. She an independent contractor. But yeah, so we have.
No, I was just looking at I was going to read the definition of hypermasculinity when you were done.
Okay, go ahead. Well, no, read it.
So hypermasculinity, because somebody in the comments is asking, what are we using to define it? Hypermasculinity is a psychological term for the exaggeration of male stereotypical behavior, which goes to what I was saying sometimes about studs or lesbians. Not all. I'm not saying all, but I've encountered it firsthand. Sometimes, not all the time, from certain studs where they feel like they need to kind of exaggerate their masculinity. Like I used to go to my barber at one point was a lesbian. And
I mean, she probably still is a lesbian.
Well, is a lesbian. I no longer go to her, but she was very much so just like over the top. It was almost like she was ready to go toe to toe, head to head. And it's like, girl, calm down. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I've even experienced it like at the club or at a bar or something. Not firsthand in this instance, but I've seen lesbians kind of go at it with like gay men, almost like, they're ready to like fight. And it's just like chill out. So it's almost like that exaggerated emphasis on physical strength, aggression, and sexuality. So that's what we're talking about.
Gotcha.
But it's not just lesbians that we're talking about tonight. We're talking about it across the board, LGBTQ, because we have gay men that do it as well.
Gotcha.
And so just to kind of frame it, and before we bring in our panelists, I had a friend when I first came into this community. This was someone who helped usher me into the community. And at his core, he was more feminine than he was masculine. But he would always, like, whenever we would go out, like when we were out at a club or he was interested in a guy, he would bring up this.
Butch it up.
He would very much so. Yo, I mean, his voice would drop several decibels. Yo, what's going on, yo? Like, yeah, what's going? Yeah, yo, so what? Yeah, I mean, he was giving all of that. I mean, he was like gesturing, and even like he would put on certain drag too, because oftentimes in the community we think of drag with the girls who dress up as women, the queens who dress up as women, but I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Greg ain't seen me all week. That's what, you know.
I miss my friend.
Yeah, but they can't. But Meg can put on drag too.
But yeah, and in fact, a trans friend of mine from years ago, not Madison, because I know you guys think that Madison is the only trans person I know, but no, a trans friend of mine, Jasmine Bonet, years ago said to me, she said, "Craig, you all dress in drag too. When you all put on them Timberlands and them baggy jeans, that's your drag. Our drag is wigs and makeup and, you know, heels and purses." She said, "But you all wear drag too." So that's what he would do. He would put on his Timberlands. This is, you know, back in the day, he would put on his Timberlands, his baggy jeans, and he would put his little baseball cap turned to the side, and he would just he would give all of this.
Like way back in the day.
It was 90s.
Ooh, I was still in junior high.
Late 90s, because I didn't move to Atlanta to 98.
High school.
So it was late 90s, early 2000s. It was early 2000s.
High school.
Right. So anyway, so look, Lacey said, "You are not going to do my Derek J, okay?"
you know, Craig got try. You know, Craig want to try to slide his 1-2 in, but you know, he talk about all this stuff. He talk about hat turned to the side. Ooh, child, that was. Yeah,
that was what he would do.
I mean, elementary school then.
Yeah, and that was what he would do. And look, Lee said, "We're born naked. The rest is drag." That was RuPaul Charles who said that. But no, I mean, he was very much so. It was almost like he was trapped between worlds, though. It was almost like he was trying to be hyper masculine, but he was also trying to pretend to be someone that he wasn't. It was almost like he wasn't really clear about who he was. Because he wanted to be young too. He had this infatuation with being young and looking young, and you know, he was all into like facial cream. And there's nothing wrong with taking care of your skin, but he had this regimen.
Hey, we're not here to talk about him.
Okay.
Jeez Louise.
Go ahead.
Because you can keep on. You'll keep going.
I'm just trying to frame the conversation.
I mean, but now we're talking about his face skin regimen and stuff, girl.
Anyway, okay.
So that's where you want to start at.
Well, I guess the only person right here. Ben, are you ready? Oh,
okay. When this we'll go to the next.
I'm ready.
Hi, Ben.
That's not Ben.
Cousin Ben. Girl, you can't read.
Shut up.
Girl, that Ohio school system.
No, I didn't see that part. I saw all of that.
Hi, Ben. How are you?
I'm well. How are you all?
Here we go. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
We can't hear you.
Okay. I'm well. I first want to say thank you both for having me. I love both what you all do collectively and individually. I follow you both. And so I appreciate you all having this platform where we can have conversations and diverse conversations about whatever it is that is going on among us. So
thank you so much for that.
Yes. Yeah.
So what made you want to participate in this conversation? Share with the viewers what you sent to us in the email.
Okay. I don't remember all of it, but I know a snippet of it. I grew up in Southeast Virginia, and Virginia as itself is one of the Bible Belt states. And so for me, and also then, not only did I grow up in Virginia, but my mom is from Ohio. And so, Look, I know you from Ohio, Derek. My mom, she's from. She has family in Columbus. She's from Northeast Ohio. She's like closer to Cleveland.
Okay.
That's where she grew up. She grew up Ashtabula and all of that, closer to
Ashtabula.
Closer to Pennsylvania. Where she grew up.
So you said you're in
that's where she. That's
Virginia?
Right.
You said you're in Southeast Virginia. Where in particular? What city?
No, that's where I'm from. I live in Atlanta now. I'm here in Atlanta.
Okay.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm from Southeast Virginia.
Okay. So go ahead. What made you want to participate?
So I grew up in a very religious home, very strictly and very dogmatic environment, Christian environment that I was, doctrine that I was taught growing up. And part of that doctrine was that that I noticed was women, especially, and I love my mother, my sisters, my sister, I have one sister, but my sister and my aunts, I grew up around a lot of women. And so I just always loved the women in my family. But I always saw, especially in like church settings and stuff like that, women were not celebrated. They were not given space to speak or anything like that. And part of that was to me, was part of the hyper masculinity that I saw. And especially specifically growing up at home, my father, I knew I was gay. I knew I was gay at 12 years old. I already knew by then. I knew what I was looking at and what made me tingle down south. And so I was already aware of that. Before I moved south, I knew what made me tingle down south.
The tulips.
Okay, so we were clear over here, but it was just that growing up in that environment, I was, pushed to. I always heard from my father and one of my dad's younger brothers. They would always say, "Well, don't hold your hand this way. Don't bend your hand, and don't tip your hip out. Don't tip it when you walk. Don't swatch. Don't switch your swatch." And so I would always hear that growing up, and I didn't know what that meant. As far what am I moving my hand like? That would be some type of way. That was what was I doing? What was it? Why was it a topic of discussion in the first place about how I was moving and how my being was? Why was that a topic of discussion, and why was it such a big deal that me specifically I was pointed out? And so that was where the earliest stages that I began to notice the hypermasculinity going on, that I was being groomed to be hypermasculine in a certain sense, because I already knew just naturally how I felt comfortable moving. There was no force or struggle with how I knew I felt, what felt good to me as to how I moved and how I walked. But I would hear things, and I just recently I was talking to my mother, and a lot of things that I realized, I'm 28 now. And so many things that I'm now realizing had a deep psychological effect on me from when I was growing up, that I was taught, that I'm now unlearning. And for me, I don't study the Bible, but there are certain aspects of the Bible that I do find to be sources of wisdom and substance in my life. And one of those aspects is being transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I find that in this stage of my life, I'm going through a renewal of my mind, because a lot of things that I was taught that about just my being, I was taught that just my existence and who I am and just how I was being was something was wrong with it. And so it really, honestly, it affected how I moved through the world for such a long time. And I didn't actually come out till I came here to Atlanta, which was 3.5 years ago.
So you were about 25?
I know. Yes, I was 25. And so, because I moved here in March of 2017. And so it was like a month before I turned 28. I'm a Taurus, Craig. Hey. Hey, girl. And so, but I realized how those things affected my mind. And even up until the point of this year, I knew from the time when I was a young boy, when I was, 7, 8, 9 years old, I was that young guy that would play in my mom's shoes and her heels. And I love the sound of it. I love the feeling of it. But I remember there was some stuff that was unsaid that was wrong, to wear that was women's attire, and I think that's when I began to hear about the constructs, and that carried with me up until probably, I would say, about obviously December, January coming into this year, because that was when one of my best friends, we really started really getting close. But he would tell me about Sylvester, the artist from back in the day, Sylvester. He would tell me about him. Listen, yeah. I loved him I loved once I saw him, a light bulb clicked, because I was like, wow, that's me. Of course, honestly, with you, Derek J, I will always see you from back in the day and how you be, giving us the stuff with them heels. So I remember that from, years ago, before I really was consciously aware that was something that I was comfortable with as well as myself. But, in my self outside of external influence, that was what felt comfortable to me. And so, long story short, probably about once I saw I didn't even hear him sing. I saw the visual of Sylvester, and I immediately became just overwhelmed, because I was like, I've seen, Billy Porter, and I've seen, RuPaul, but to me, once I got to know Sylvester's backstory and the way in which he did it, it wasn't just he was dressing up and then he would take it off. That's the way he lived. He was comfortable in his skin enough to walk around every day like that, because that was what he wanted to do. And so once I became aware those are similar things that I wanted to do, I remember one time, probably about 2018, I had got some foundation, some eyeshadow done. And you couldn't tell me nothing, because I was like, who this? And so, but still at that stage, I was wearing clothes that really didn't suit. Still was wearing clothes that really didn't suit how I felt as to the nature, the level that I feel comfortable in.
So,
I'm sorry, what did you say?
So, growing up, did you find yourself? Did you find yourself putting on that mask of masculinity in front of your family and friends while you were growing up until you were able to be comfortable with yourself?
Oh, absolutely, because it affected how I dressed too. Because I would wear, I found myself wearing clothes that didn't really fit me well. Bigger clothes, and then at one time, and then too, I found myself trying to straighten up how I literally found myself trying to alter how I would move, just to appease my family. And so it just was, it became to a point where I remember when I was 14 years old, that was the first time where I realized it was starting to get to me. And I remember I grew up in a family of 7 children. I forgot to mention that. I'm the fifth of 7 children. My sister's the oldest, and it was 1 girl and 6 boys. And growing up with my brothers, I remember my second oldest brother. He would always try to say, "Well, Ben, let me, you got to fight, you got to get tough, you got to, It was always this thing about coming from my brother too. Is like this hyper masculine. You have to be tough, and that's what makes you a man or masculine. Is to be strong and tough and rough. And for me, I didn't want to get my fingers dirty, so I didn't play football and none of that. I was in marching band, I sweated, but other than that, that was cute stepping. So I didn't feel like I was outside of myself being in marching band. And I love to dance. So baby, we used to get down. You couldn't tell me nothing. Especially growing up church, you really couldn't tell me that, because I felt like I was really doing something, because we couldn't do that stuff at home. A lot of the things that we did in band, I couldn't dance like that at home. But
so how do you?
I found myself to really fast forward. Once it was that I. Can you tell me?
No, I was saying, how do you identify? Oh, how do you identify? Do you identify? Yeah.
Do I identify as what?
How do you identify? Do you identify?
Oh, absolutely. I'm Gold Star gay.
Okay, so you identify as gay, not non-binary or non-gender conforming or whatever.
I'm clear about what it is. Excuse me, I'm trying to get my sound together.
It's okay.
Back together, rather.
So what we got? So this is what we're gonna actually do. We're gonna actually switch.
Yes, for me, because I knew I was from 12 years old.
So we're gonna switch you out and we're gonna bring you right back up again. Okay.
Hold on, I'm almost back. Okay.
We're gonna switch you out. Okay, come bring you back up. Ben, you gave us some information, Ben. So in Ben's case, Ben was stop laughing.
Wait. What y'all didn't hear was this one right here talking about and like nudging me under the table.
Well, listen. So in Ben's case, he experienced hypermasculinity being projected on him.
Exactly.
And not, not that he was. But he experienced it being projected on him. So we're gonna bring up our next panel that's gonna give us a different perspective of what hypermasculinity is.
I got tears.
I see.
Sorry.
Jesus, you are so unprofessional. They said Ben has so much to say. Yes, Ben did.
He can come work on it at the podcast.
He can work at the podcast.
So much to say.
Yes. All right. So we go.
Bijan.
What's up, everybody?
How are you today?
All right. How are y'all?
We are well, thank you. So talk to us about why you want to participate in this conversation today.
Okay, so I pretty much emailed and I said that I would love to get my input on this topic because this is something that both scares me and something because it scares me, I sometimes have to put a mask on myself. I have been hyper masculine in situations where a person can't really clock my tea. And there are other gay men that are around that are more flamboyant, are more feminine. So it's kind of like I snap back and I kind of reserve myself. You know what I'm saying? And I let the people, kind of like that whole barbershop situation. I kind of let people talk about them instead of saying something about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, ooh, I'm glad they didn't catch my shit. Like, but those who do know me, hey, Autumn Joy, those who do know me, they know that I walk right in the middle. That's probably the only gray area that I have. So growing up and not really wanting to face the fact that I was gay and having all these different feelings and stuff going on the side, it was definitely played out a lot in my life where people would not let me play any of the reindeer games. All the boys going to go to the pool. I can't go. I don't know why, but I can't go. You know what I'm saying? They going to play baseball. I can't go. You know what I mean? It was just different things like that. It was just different things like that pretty much shaped the person that I am now. I still have an issue with putting on that mask and presenting myself in a more hyper masculine way when I'm with other gay black or when I'm with other straight black men. And it's kind of like I don't want them to be trying to come at me any type of way with the negativity or you calling me out my name and stuff. So I go a little bit higher of the masculine than they do to try to make them look like the fuck. Like, what's up?
I'm glad you said that. So now do you participate in the masculine shenanigans when you're with your straight, when you're around straight black males?
I don't participate in majority of the nonsense, like as far as sitting around talking about other gay men, because my straight friends, they know that I'm gay. You know what I'm saying? They know that I'm gay, but I present myself in that way around them to make them feel comfortable, really. Instead of just living in my truth and just being me. You know what I mean? I make them feel that way just to, I pretend, or I be that way around them to make them feel comfortable. So when I'm with my flamboyant gay friends, then it's like, girl, what's up? Like, it was popping. Like, what's up, baby? Like, and I'm not, running down the street with the gay pride flag, or because there are some of us out here that are overly flamboyant, almost as a way of a man who feels like hypermasculinity. He has to prove his manhood. There are some of us out here that prove that we have to be that feel that we have to prove that we are gay men and more so bottom, and they go over and above. Like I saw this dude, he had yarn in his hair, and it was just like, girl, like you don't have to rock that way. But I think it's too something that comes from an age progression. When you start off, there are a lot of them that do start off and they present themselves as masculine, hyper flamboyant, and by the time they hit their late 20s, it's like, oh, I'm gonna do that shit. Like I know who I am and I know what it is.
It's interesting that you say that, because I had a friend who was naturally feminine, but when he got around gay men that he didn't know, like you mentioned something about when you get around straight men, you felt the need to kind of posture up. Yeah. But this particular person, whenever he got around gay men that he didn't know, he didn't feel comfortable showing his softer self. And I remember telling him that. I said, it's almost like you're afraid to show them your softer self. And it's almost like he wanted them to perceive him as a more masculine gay guy. But then once they got to know him, he would kind of let his slip show, is what I would call it.
Now, did you also feel that because of the way you present, that you have to have this harder exterior?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, right now I'm 35, and the Bijan the Don that I see, he walks a fine line as far as fashion, as far as everything. You know what I'm saying? No lashes, not a whole beat face, but maybe, the lashes that I do have, maybe I'm curling them with the thing and, dark and filling in my eyebrows and wearing a nice long kinky curly wig for all the wig makers out there. Wearing a kinky curly wig, and that's me. And when I get in a little bit more shape, because I don't ever want to lose my shape and stop being a big boy, because I'm proud of being a big boy. But I'm wearing crop tops, and you know what I'm saying, just showing it, just giving it to him, like kind of like an Uncle Cliff, but a little toned down
from P Valley.
Yeah, like
so let me ask you this. So when do you think you stopped feeling the need to do that, or did you, or do you still kind of chameleon?
I still kind of chameleon into it. Yeah,
and it's interesting that you say that, because I think I've shared this on we've had these conversations either when I've done a live. I've noticed that in barbershops, like my nephew cuts my hair now, so I haven't been in a barbershop in a while. But when I used to go into the barbershop, in Midtown, there were gay guys that would come to this. There were a lot of gay guys that came to this particular barbershop, and I remember when certain really flamboyant guys would leave the barbershop, the barbers would kind of heckle. They would kind of laugh and joke and talk, because there was one particular guy who used to kind of wear like women's pieces. He wouldn't dress like a woman all the way, but he might have on a woman's leather jacket, and you knew it was a woman's leather jacket because the buttons were on the opposite side, or but they would kind of laugh about him. And my barber and I would kind of have our own private conversation, and he didn't think that it was cool. He was just like, I just don't think that that's cool. They're all patrons. And that's not how you're supposed to treat patrons. But I would notice that there would be other gay guys in the shop waiting to get cut, or in the chair to get cut.
And they were having that conversation in front of them.
They would have, exactly. It was almost like they were able to pass as straight. It's just like some of you gays that sit in the church, when the pastor start talking about the gays and talking about, all of this, switching and, hugging up with a man, and you the first one standing up, clapping and preach, pastor, knowing you were at the club last night, or knowing you were on Jack, Adam for Adam the night before. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like this thing where you want to be able to pass. You want to be able to move through the world. You want to be able to navigate through the world without anyone knowing that you're gay. That's really at the base of this whole hypermasculinity conversation. Wanting the privilege of moving through the world without being spotted. It even bleeds over into the way that some of us, not all, the way that some gay men date. You want to date, and even when you talk about these apps, Where on these profiles, you see people talking about no fats, no femmes. That was our very first panel conversation that we did. A lot of times people want a guy who's not feminine because they want to be able to move through the world without anyone, without being clocked. Without being clocked.
So now, question, are you working to become your true self at all times? Is that something that you want to do? And are you working through that? Do you find yourself coming to a better place with that?
Yeah, I mean, because at this point and at this age, I've come to the realization, like, look, bitch, you are who you are. And if a motherfucker don't like it, then it is what it is. I had spent the whole summer being straight.
The summer.
The whole summer. Because I'm like, I done graduated high school. Everybody done went their separate ways, so I ain't got to put on for school no more. I'm out here, but I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So everybody in Milwaukee kind of know each other, and they kind of know each other teas, but then, and this was before Instagram and shit. So I'm like, I want to try with a girlfriend, because how would I know unless I try? So the whole summer, I told myself what I thought straight men exude.
But let me jump in right there when you said,
blow your mind.
Right, when you said that you felt like you wanted to at least try to have a girlfriend, because if I don't try, then I don't know. To that, I would say to you, and to anyone that thinks that way, and anyone who's watching, sexuality is instinctive. It's how we're wired. It's not a choice. It's not a decision. So it's not a matter of, let me go try this with this woman to see if I can make this work. It's about who you are in your DNA, in the fiber of your being.
And I knew it too. I'm gonna explain to you how to be straight. Rule number 1: when you walk in a room, you are better than any man that's in there. I don't give a fuck who he is, what level of stature he has. You're better than him. You can get his wife. You can get his bank account. You can get whatever you got to get. That's rule number 1. Know that, and continue to repeat that to yourself over and over and over and over again. Like, if you brush your teeth, I'm going to steal all the bitches. I'm going to steal all the bitches. Like, all the females going to look at me when I walk in the mall. That's the mantra. Number 2, just, aggressiveness. You know what I mean? Can I get a cheeseburger with like extra cheese on that bitch? Like, you just really come hard. And I did that for the whole summer. And I felt like when I would go home, I would feel like Wesley Snipes when he put them heels on at the beginning of 2 on 2. And he was like, that's how I would feel. Because I'm like, oh my God, like, bitch, you really did it. Not knowing, like, no, you really didn't. You like, people looking at you crazy because they like, what is this little gay boy doing? Like, he's really aggressive. But now it's like I said, it is what it is. I was lucky enough to have family and friends that was just waiting on me. They all knew I was gay. My own father, or the man I call my father, he was the pastor of the church that I went to. And that was that family church that I was talking about, that like actually they accepted me for me. They was just waiting on me to come out.
And here's the thing, Bijan, and for everybody who's listening who think you're hiding from your family and the people who love you. When people know you and love you, they already know. So the things that you think you're doing a great job at hiding are obvious to them because they are paying attention to your life. So even the unspoken, they already know. And then the other thing that you said that I wanted to tap on, this margarita got me. I done lost my train of thought. It should come back in a moment, though.
Are you drinking liquor?
I am. Oh. Go ahead.
We're going to drop you back down again. We're going to bring both of you guys back up in 1 second, okay?
All right.
So, I'm with it. Like, so luckily for me, I mean, I've experienced hypermasculinity as somebody, projecting it onto you. Yeah. So I've experienced, and I just kind of just pay them people no mind, child. It just is what it is. But I haven't indulged in it because I never had to, but if there are any people on here, get the little link, that want to have that conversation with us. If you experienced it, if you are part of it, if this is your life, if that's who you are, pop on in. Let's have that conversation.
We just dropped the link in here.
Just dropped the link right there. So, let's have the conversation if you want, if you experienced it. And this goes for both male and female. If you are from a lesbian standpoint or from a gay male standpoint, if you experience
or trans.
Well, is it sort of?
I mean, I just want to be all inclusive.
Okay.
I don't want to be.
Yeah, we can be all inclusive.
I don't want to be accused of being transphobic.
Mm-hmm. So let's get some final words from Ben, and we'll get final short words. Ben, you hear us talking, Ben?
That thing said final short words. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Ben. Oh, you back now? So we got everything. We good now.
See, y'all just gonna be childish all y'all whole life.
Yeah. Well, I'm still young, sweetie. Now somebody's a little older than me.
I'm as young as I look.
Hey, Craig, you look mighty good, might I add. That salt and pepper is listen. Let me tell you something. That's mostly what I look at. I don't listen.
So, Chris,
but anyway, just.
Well, for you, like for somebody like you that experienced hypermasculinity, like being forced on yourself as a child, growing up, what advice would you give somebody that went through that process, that's going through that now? What advice would you give them becoming, when they start to become of age?
Mm-hmm.
I would say what I have done, especially over the last few years, and this year specifically, last few months, reach out and look for people who reflect who you are. Because for me, honestly, when I tell you, I had already, off and on, Derek J, I had already been following you for years, but I just met, Craig, I just met you through, watching when I first watched you all's first live together that I saw. And so just to see you both was just so refreshing, and to see you all interact with each other in a way that I felt was very healthily between two gay men, because I've seen the other side of it too, where it's like the gossip crew, and the I knew that I wasn't one of those. I was like, no, I'm not that kind of gay. I ain't got to run nobody down. I'm more so telling you look good, you sound good, XYZ, complimentary. That's always been my style. So I knew I wasn't on that side of it, but I would say, just long story short, look in and tune into and watch and study and keep in your ear, because what we hear is not more so what we eat physically, what we eat, what we take in, what we hear, what we smell, all those different things matter, and they affect our psychology. And so I would say for them to really just study those people. Instagram, that's why I'm grateful for Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, because there's so many different outlets and avenues that I didn't have when I was that 14-year-old boy that wanted to commit suicide, because I didn't know. I was hearing so much that you can't be this, don't do this. Already was in church and then don't move. It was like, I felt like if I can't be myself, I don't want to be here. And so I got to a point where I felt like that. And so for someone who's coming up, I would say just whenever you get a chance, and for me, just I would say keep that in your ear. Keep that in your ear, because like I said, that's what keeps me encouraged. It keeps me reminded of who I am. I done went and bought one back in May, and so you couldn't tell me nothing. I went on, it got real cute, back in March, through May. I started changing my wardrobe because I was hearing and seeing visuals of what just my being looked like and what I truly knew that my being was. And so I began to change my wardrobe. I began to do different things, but most importantly, that's what I would say. Keep positive reinforcement in your ear.
Okay. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you. Thank you both for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And y'all my kind of funny too. I love y'all so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We appreciate you, Ben.
Okay, so we had two people pop in. So we're going to pop up.
Put her over here with this bonnet on.
Hey, Amber.
Hey, y'all.
How you doing, girl?
Okay, so I wanted to shift the conversation to more of a spiritual type of conversation, because I want everybody to know that this is not like a gay or a straight issue. It's an energy issue.
Come on now.
And that as spiritual beings, I'm looking up here at my notes if y'all see me moving my eyes back and forth.
This is my smart.
But I just want everybody to know that as spiritual beings, we are all made up of masculine and feminine energy. And the problem comes when we look at people's outer appearance and expect them to expect it to match what we've been taught by, you know, society and everybody else. And we have to unlearn a lot of this stuff. And even though like most of the people in this chat, they're adults and they in their 30s and their 40s and stuff like that, and people think that it's too late for you to try to unlearn things because certain stuff has been beaten into your head and all that kind of stuff. But it's not too late. Like once we go deeper within ourselves, we'll be able to understand that our outer appearance has nothing to do with the energy that we exude and what's inside of us. So yeah, that's a little tidbit that I wanted.
I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Amber.
You're welcome.
That was really good.
You're welcome. That's all I want to say. So I ain't have much to say tonight like I usually do.
No, that was good.
That was good. You said just enough.
Exactly.
Look at Derek trying to rush off.
I'm not trying to rush you off, girl. I'm not trying to rush you off.
They were saying you were asleep in the comments.
I was paying attention.
They were saying you were kind of asleep in the comments.
But I was asleep.
I was trying
I thought he was just off an edible or something. I was going to say, let him chill.
I was paying attention.
I know. I'm just joking. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. Everybody just, especially with everything that's going on right now, like we should be taking this time to go deeper within ourselves and look at other people as mirrors instead of competition or, you know what I'm saying? Like when people bring up triggers and stuff inside of you, don't just automatically react. You need to sit down with that information and just think to yourself and self-reflect like, why is this triggering me? Why is this an issue for me? And try to fix it instead of exuding negative energy onto other people, because all femininity and masculinity is just energy. And we all hold that inside of us. So we just need to find a balance between the two. So for all you hyper masculine niggas out there with the toxic masculinity, that feminine energy that's inside you is not going nowhere. Learn how to deal with it. Learn how to deal with it. It's not going nowhere. You can't get rid of it. So you might as well just learn how to deal with it. That's all I got to say.
Thank
you.
You're
welcome.
All right. Hey there.
So how we say your name? Dayan or Day?
Dayan is one way of pronouncing it.
Okay. Well, how are we supposed to pronounce it?
It's Dejan, but you know you can't put no accent over. You know how.
Oh, gotcha.
It's what? Dejan.
Yeah, supposed to be an accent over the Y.
Blame my mama. Blame my mama. Blame my mom.
and I do. No,
blame my mom, because on the birth certificate, it looked like somebody put a little pinstripe over the Y. I was like, okay, that's not even real.
Okay, Deja.
Can you guys hear me? Because I hear you guys kind of low on my end.
No, we hear you perfectly.
Okay, I just want to let you know I look young for my age. I am 42, and I came out I'm just saying this, I came out in college 21. And I can kind of relate to Bijan because when you don't know who you are, I was an athlete, so I guess I always had that tomboy swag, but you don't know you're giving that energy, girls all in your face and stuff. So when I finally realized what I like, I seen all the masculine females. I saw, I got somebody I could relate to. Oh, geez, I like older. That was the wrong advice ever they can give me. Being, as you can see, I can't hide nothing. I'm a 5'8" teddy bear, hips, but I'm a Twizzler is what I say. I'm in the middle. But when you coming out, you don't know who to turn to, and you happen to see people that you identify, and then their energy is wrong. They tell you how to be, how to walk, so that over masculinity go for them studs who don't know themselves, who's faking the funk to please their people. What to be. It goes the same way, and they give the wrong information. They don't encourage you. They downplay you. They question you. I actually got in arguments. Well, very masculine looking. Now that's 20 years ago. You didn't really see too many females to males, or you know what I'm saying then. So you just saw the old school stud. But when they get in your ear, they know you way behind the ears. This how you do a girl. This how you walk. This how you do. And when I try to date, the women knew wasn't my flavor. I look like Big Sugar Bear from the G Block. I had the cornrows. I was bigger. I was big. Bigger. And so the energy didn't give off well. And I said, I'm listening to the wrong people. I thought these are people who I can identify with. And they actually questioned me, arguing me about how to date.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes the same way because they trying to mock over masculinity too. And then telling these young studs wrong information. Wrong information. And I just be me. Because I knew when I went that route, went straight, like from coming out the prison, straight cornrows, hood, button up, the old school early 2090s, how we used to dress, the women wasn't feeling it. So when I was myself, I was myself. They actually was turned off because I was trying to be like what these over masculine females are, or what they trying to do or portray, and it just wasn't coming off. So it goes both ways. Misinformation.
There we go. Thank you.
Just be authentic. You might get more bees with that honey.
Well, thank you so much, darling.
Love what you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
One of the things that she said that, it reminded me of what I wanted to say earlier when I had that little brain freeze. But two things. The first thing that I was going to say was every single day that you're living and you're not living your truth, I believe that you shrink a bit, you die a bit when you're not living your truth. Because if you're not being yourself, then who are you being? And, why compromise the joy of being yourself when you get to be who you are? Like, why would you want to be somebody else when you get to be you? Right. And so to that point that she was just making, there are men, if we're talking about gay men, there are gay men who love feminine men. And if you're trying to be something other than who you naturally are, then you may be missing out on that partner that you may be looking for.
So let's jump down to right here to get his last words.
Okay.
So he could, so you won't have him because we got people popping in.
We got three new people popping in. This is my friend Lito down in Miami down there. Is that Miami? You Miami, right? Bishan, unmute your thing.
So everybody. We want to get some last words from you, because we didn't want to just have you sitting here because we got people popping in now. But we want to get some last words from you. Like, what advice would you give somebody that's dealing with this? Either one, being hypermasculine, or two, being on the receiving end of hypermasculinity.
The only thing that I can really say as far as somebody receiving or being on the receiving end of hypermasculinity is that, you have to deal with it the way you have to deal with it. Because nowadays, with all the different killings that we have out there in the news, with all the different people trying to act ignorant, sometimes you have to go toe to toe with these people and let them know that you are just as crazy as they are, if not more. We have more fights. We have more things that we have to overcome as far as obstacles of being Black and gay. And that's not even just gay. That's lesbian, that's trans, that's bisexual, whatever it is. I feel like it plays very much so back to the slave days where, because master came in there and like broke your ancestor down, that trait of not showing emotions and not showing, crying and showing that you are a human has been ostracized by the Black community. And I feel like that's where it is, because I've run into some people too that be like, oh, y'all different types of gays. I can hang with y'all because y'all don't be with the other stuff. Well, what is it to be another type of gay but gay? So I would tell them, you really got to take a deep breath, and you just got to step out there in that world and just live your truth. Live who you are and be who you are, because you are going to miss so many different opportunities, and life is going to pass you by. And you're going to wake up and you're going to be in your 30s or 40s not having done shit. Still living a closeted life, ain't even been to a pride, ain't even been to a club, ain't even been on the chat or on the thing because of fear. Mm-hmm. Now you just letting life just pass you by. And I'm not saying those things are what make up the gay community, but at the same time, there are parts and features of the gay community. And if you're not able to live your full self and enjoy everything around it, then again, you're not living life and you're dying. You're steady, like you said, Craig, you're steady dying one day at a time. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, to the people who exude that hypermasculinity shit, please have a seat. Please have a seat. It is so unfortunate that we got to live in a world where people who are in our own community don't want to be bothered with us because of the way that they're persecuted by their own friends and family. That shit's got to stop. Before we can even sit up there and try to protest or march or make any type of rally against anything, we all got to be on one accord, whether you like it raw, safe, from the back, from the front, from the side, however the hell you want it, we're going to all have to come together. And until we're able to do that shit, no, we're not going to be able to get anywhere. So knock the shit off and really just have a fucking seat.
Thank you, Bijan. Thank you so much. That's all. And thank you for your insight on this conversation. So, yes, go ahead.
Evan?
Yep.
Hey, Evan.
Hello. How you
doing?
Are you?
Where are you located?
New York, New York.
Okay.
Oh, that's where all that hypermasculinity crap be at up there, child. So, what did you want to add to this conversation?
I want to add to the conversation that I agree with hypermasculinity is an issue within the Black and brown community, like a major issue. However, if you've never had any issues with being your true self, like I am feminine and masculine at all times. I've always been able to be my true self through my whole life. I was raised by my father, who was a single parent with an older brother and a younger brother. There was no feminine energy in the house. I was the only feminine energy in my household. When you don't have a stigma tied to that, it's hard to even exist in our community. Like, I don't have daddy wasn't there issues. I talk to him 3-4 times a day. He is my best friend. I talk to my younger brother. My older brother has passed away. Like, I don't know that part of the gay community. So trying to be a part of my own community, I am shunned. I had issues with my ex-husband. One of our issues being married was his jealousy of my relationship
with your dad.
Right. And that I have that with any man I've dated. Because they like it, however, they get so jealous of it. And that I can move throughout the world with most of my friends are heterosexual. I don't connect with gays. We don't have a story to connect to other than the fact that we're homosexual. So how is that? Like, how are we treated? How do we maneuver in our own community? Because I'm 6'3", so I'm expected to be super masculine and have a huge horse dick and all this. I get all kind of shit being 6'3" and skinny. Like you're from Texas originally. You're automatically assumed to be something.
You're classified
a certain way off rip. And when you don't meet that expectation, then what? And then you can't connect on no faggot shit. Because I've never had problems in elementary, middle school. I've never been teased or made fun of, and I've always been extremely popular. Like, I don't have a backstory.
I don't have a backstory. It's just a different backstory.
Right. I don't have any trauma in my backstory.
Right. You don't have the typical gay.
I don't have a typical gay backstory trauma. So I'm not on any apps. I can't connect with over hyper masculine men because, for one, I'm not attracted to that. I'm not attracted to overly feminine men, but I do want my dude to be gay. I need you to be secure in you. Like, if I want to say, girl, come here, you getting on my nerves, like that's not going to trigger you and your manhood. So, like, what's your take on that? How are gays like me that don't have trauma and any stigmas, how are we to maneuver in our community.
Conversation that we haven't really thought about till we.
That is a good conversation.
That's a good conversation. We never really thought about that side of the conversation. So that is a conversation that we're going to have to reach out to you about, Evan, that we can have that conversation about.
I do have a question for you though. You said that you've never had issues around like your feminine energy or your masculine energy. So is that the case also when you date? Like I was telling a story earlier about a former friend of mine that would kind of chameleon. He would kind of perk up.
I don't have to do that.
You never felt the need to do that.
I because society, how do I say this without sounding away? I've been given a pass.
Mm-hmm. Well, somebody in the comments said you're passing.
I've been given that pass because I'm not dark and I'm not light. I'm just the right color for everybody.
Uh-huh.
And when I grow my hair, it's bone straight and like so. I don't have that. Like I don't have that. Oh, he did it. I don't have like I'm masculine enough and feminine enough that and because I walk in my true self, straight people respect that more because I'm not hiding behind anything and I don't have any trauma attached to me and my personality that other gay men have. So I don't have those problems or issues. So I cannot literally maneuver in my own community without being persecuted for some shit that I had nothing to do with.
Yeah, right. We're going to have to get your information because we do want to get back at you about that other.
That's a good topic.
Yes, and thank you for sharing your insight on this conversation.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
All right. Boom.
Lido.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, good. How are you?
Tired. But my beloveds. So I'm here thinking about what you guys are creating. And I think that, Craig, you mentioned a lot about, sex is intuitive. Instant. What's the word you used?
I said sexuality is instinctive. It's how we're wired. It's not a choice. It's not a decision. It's just a part of your DNA.
Yeah. So I think these conversations are going to lead to something in the history books in the sense of you guys are building like a case study. And for those that know what a case study is of having these conversations. But what I wanted to piggyback on is about what Amber said about the spirit, like it's a spiritual thing. Hypermasculinity for me, my spirit rejects it from like the moment I feel it, like my spirit changes, my aura changes. In the Latin community we call it machismo, which is like that macho mentality where you see. Yeah, you see it in like, I'm Puerto Rican, but you see it in the Mexican culture and the Latin culture where it's all about like power and control. And I'm the alpha. And I think in the gay community, we still haven't dismantled all these hetero norms that we talk about. Like, we bring them in from a family history or, wherever we come from. And we haven't created our own dynamic. And I think that adds a lot to the melting pot and it creates like chaos in a sense, even for like the dating scene. When you talk about, you see someone that's very attractive, but then you notice like, oh, wow, they're hyper masculine. It goes against who I am as a person. And then it just creates issues and it's a power and control thing. And I remember I was 22. I dated a doctor. He was 41. I was my freshman year in college. And he was he was Latino, Puerto Rican. And we struggled to get along is because he was constantly trying to be that machismo or like, I'm the man, like you sit down.
Assert himself.
Yeah, exactly. And it ruins relationships. And then it creates this trauma for you to deal with because you're like, what did I do wrong? You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm being attacked. And it's just very uncomfortable. So I think this conversation is good to have. It's multi-layered. I saw someone talk about like, in the African American community about, it being a thing within the culture where it's, it's already formed from generations, you know, and how you talk about, I'm not religious, but I know a little bit. You talk about generational curses, breaking those, you know, and creating new, you know, they say it takes 25 days to break a habit or something like that. Those are bad habits that, you know, we have as men first, and then second, being gay men, we bring it into our, you know, love relationships or friendships as well, because I think even you have some friends that are like hyper masculine, and you got to be like, dude, calm down. So it ruins relationships. So I think, you know, it'll take a long time to really have a.
That's such a great point, though, because hypermasculinity, I believe, really does break a lot of relationships. I can't speak for white gay relationships. I can only speak for relationships as it relates to black gay men or men of color, because it bleeds over into the whole top bottom thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything, you know what I'm saying? Because somebody is, not always, but in the instances where someone feels like they have to lead, or they feel like they have to assert themselves, whether it's they always trying to pay the bill, or they're always trying to, you know what I'm saying? Just let you know that they are, quote unquote, the dominant one in the relationship. That's where this hyper masculinity thing kind of plays out. I really do think that, and unless we get that under control, we're always going to see these short-lived relationships.
And it's a form of abuse. If you think about it, it's a form of abuse. You know, you talk about when, you know, abusive relationships and trying to, I take it back to control. It's the power way of control, trying to control someone. And that's how you do it, through hyper masculinity. So I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys having me on. I do ask you guys to create a foundation, and I want to be an ambassador. So I'm putting every time I come on, I'm declaring something else in the universe.
Yes, you are. Because the last time you came on, you said, when this pandemic's over, I need you and Derek to go on tour.
And we putting that, we getting that in the work.
Yes. No, and we need, you know, we talk, I follow T.S. Madison. I follow a lot of, you know, different stars, whatever, YouTube stars on here. But this type of platform is needed for the spirit, is needed for the mind. It is needed for growth, because we need to, you talk about people needing to be at the table. LGBTQ people need to be at the table, and we need to make that happen, and it has to happen with power. And I think this is a way that this is going to happen.
Right.
Well, thank you. And we receive all of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you in Miami soon. I'll treat you guys.
And you know, to this point, I think that this conversation, and every conversation that we've done before this one, and everyone that's going to come, I think we're sending some sort of vibration into the universe. So even if we can't quantify it and say, okay, we did this through this conversation, even if we're just provoking people to think.
In the thought process.
It's the thought process. Even if you move differently in your personal life,
we did our job.
We did our job. Yeah.
This is a great conversation. I didn't know how this conversation was going to go.
I didn't know either.
But you know, it was a great conversation. We were able to get better understandings about things, that people gave us different insights on this conversation and this topic, and I'm excited about it.
I am too.
Yes.
I am too.
So
please hit the share button. Don't forget to hit the share button. I know you guys are in your private Facebook groups and all that kind of stuff. Go ahead and share it with your network. Let people know about it. Hit the like button. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to Derek J's YouTube channel. Here are our cash apps right here, because listen, one day we're going to stop doing these panels. And we have to keep digging into our wallets and purses. Wallets and purses.
Pocketbook.
Wallets and pocketbooks.
But speaking of the next panel.
Yes. Go ahead and announce it.
Our next panel is...
I'm looking forward to this one.
Is gay black men and straight black men. Why can't we be friends? You know, so...
Now,
I mean, now y'all know when Craig gets excited about a conversation, he already has a mind of how he wants the conversation to go. This is a good... And so, hopefully... So, I don't... For Craig... Craig is looking for a straight black man
who does not see it for the gays.
Who does not see it for the gays. Will we get that? I do not know.
I don't know if we're going to get that.
But Craig, don't try to push nobody to be that person.
Right.
Don't try to put words in their mouth.
Correct.
Don't try to make them say what you want them to say.
Correct.
Yes. So, but
I get it.
Yes. But if you guys, as women, we have a lot of women followers. If you have women, if you have straight male friends that you feel are not really, with the gay shit, encourage them or challenge them to be part of this conversation. Challenge them to be part of this conversation. The email is glmconvo@gmail.com.
It's scrolling on the bottom.
Somebody's popped up. Are we
Michael Watson, you trying to jump in on this conversation about hypermasculinity?
Yeah,
okay, well, let's see what he's talking about real quick. Trying to jump in on this conversation about hypermasculinity.
Y'all ain't talking no strap. Y'all ain't talking no mass dudes.
Turn your inner neck down. Turn your inner neck down.
Y'all ain't talking no mass dudes. Y'all talking.
We put it out there. No, you ain't answering back.
We put this out 2 weeks ago. Turn your inner neck down.
All right, are we good?
Well, no, we're not good. So you play whatever you playing it back on. Cut that down.
Okay, are we good?
He's so excited. He done came in.
Well, no, we're not good. So you play whatever you playing it back on. Cut that down. Yeah, whatever that's talking, turn that down.
He done disappeared.
Well, there we go. So,
all right. Well, listen.
So
2 weeks from today, we're having the conversation, and what I would like to see, now it doesn't have to be this, but I would like to see straight black men who do not see it for the gay boys.
Right.
So I want to see black gay men who think that it's wrong to be gay, who think that it's a choice to be gay. You need to just man up. I want to hear from the guys who feel like if I had a gay son, I would whip his ass. I would beat the gay out of him. I want to hear from you.
Yes. So if you guys know anybody like that, challenge them to have this conversation. As you guys know, this is not an argument. It's not a debate. We just want to hear your side of the story and why you feel that way.
And I'm going to challenge you.
And it's okay, but it's not a debate.
It's not a debate.
We're not going to argue.
But I'm going to challenge.
But it's a challenge. So, yeah.
Email us here at GLMconvo.
Yeah.
So basically, this conversation, the panelists that we want for this conversation are basically straight black men, right?
Correct.
So if you're LGBTQ, we don't want to hear from you for this.
Yes, we do, because we also want to hear about if you are a gay black man that find trouble with being friends with straight black
or LGBTQ person.
Yeah. Well,
it could be some trans people that may feel.
Okay. Well, then yes.
See, he's trying to exclude y'all.
I'm not trying to exclude. No. First of all, Craig, what it says, gay black men. It don't say gay LGBTQ LGBTQ.
I know, but remember we had another flyer.
I know that, but we changed that.
Right.
You didn't change this one.
Right.
So
okay.
So
all right. So listen, we want to hear from you guys.
Yes.
So email us at GLMconvo. It's scrolling at the bottom.
Yeah.
You can email us tonight, tomorrow. Just give us a short little email. Don't send us no long ass dissertation.
Anyway. It's okay though.
Okay.
Well, Craig reads them.
Yeah, Derek doesn't read them. Send me an email. Send us an email with a picture. We want a picture and a phone number.
So we know who we're talking to.
So we know who we're talking to.
Yeah.
And a phone number, because our intern is either going to email you or call you.
Yeah.
Or our contractor.
Contract. Right.
Because we do pay her.
So are we going to try this again?
Okay. So Mike is here. He wanted to talk about tonight's conversation. Go ahead. Because we do pay her. Your internet is still turned up.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah. Am I okay now? Am I too loud?
No, you're good. We're good.
Okay. Well, my neighbor's dog is barking, so that dog might be loud. But
no, that's fine.
All right. So, one, I would like to say that for a lot of the gay dudes, they check for mass dudes all the time. If you come in and you're like, "Hey, girl, what's popping?" Right? They like, "Oh no, he's too femme, he's too sweet, he too this." That's why they constantly always chasing down these trade dudes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then like a guy like myself, who is completely out, completely gay, it gets hard, because if I'm trying to talk to somebody, it's like, oh, well, he's coming across hyper mask, and it's like, no, I'm just trying to be myself. But I like football, I like basketball, I like sports. I'm still a dude at the end of the day. I just like other guys. So sometimes it's a catch-22 with that whole hyper
You
masculine.
know, and I think that we used the word and it was wrong for this one because it's not more or less a hyper masculinity. It's more about toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity.
So it's like, you know, but hyper masculinity and toxic masculinity is a fine line.
Yeah, I get that because I would say like Lil Boozy is toxic masculinity.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But somebody like myself, I'm a mass guy. You know, I mean that's.
Now, do you find when you're around your straight friends that you can just blend right in without having to masculine up more, or you just yourself? Do you put on a mask in front of them to be more manly, more masculine, or you just you all the time?
No, I find myself having to like thin myself down when I get around more gay people just so I could fit in more.
Oh wow.
And
really?
So I could find myself, yeah, because like sometimes like if I'm out and about, like I was just telling my friends the other day, right? Like I'm single, been single for a minute. And with the clubs being closed down, right, it's hard for me to meet dudes because I'm not on the internet thing. You know what I mean? I'm not on that whole grinder Jack thing, you know what I'm saying?
That's really you're the second person to say that tonight. That's really promising. Come on, one thing for certain, two things for sure. My second book. You better hold it up.
So anyways, it makes it hard for me, like if I'm out and about, like, you know what I mean? Like I can't, like I know I was, when I don't want to say his name, but when you first started talking about your significant other, I remember, Craig, I was asking like.
He's sitting right here.
Yeah, because I was asking, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm 47 years old, so I am a dude of a particular age, you know what I'm saying? Even though I don't look it. But it makes it hard to meet guys when I'm out and about. So I find myself sometimes having to kind of like try to thin myself up, like, hey, girl, like when I get around my friends, just so that other dudes can look at me and think, oh, okay, he is part of the community. Or they don't have that intimidation factor. Because I've been out and about and I'll try to catch eye contact with a dude. And right away, he looking like I'm like away, like I'm looking at him like what you looking at me like that for, homo, or something like that. So it makes it a little hard in that aspect sometimes.
Right. What city are you in, Mike?
Phoenix,
Arizona.
Yeah.
Here's what I would tell you, and I said this before: whatever you're looking for, is also looking for you. And
I think it's in Atlanta though.
Is it in Atlanta? Because all of the gays in Atlanta think that is not here.
That is true.
But that ain't even just Atlanta, because when I lived in LA, there were gay people that used to say, I just don't think the guy I'm supposed to be with lives here. When I lived in Maryland, which is where I'm from, I had people saying, well, I don't think he's here. I think he's somewhere else. I think sometimes we tell ourselves that because it's easier to think that it's some far off thing, that, you know, it's some esoteric, some kind of out of reach kind of thing. Right. He's over here, you know, and if I was there, it would work. But I think that whatever you're looking for is whatever you're looking for is also looking for you. And you just have to rest on that and just trust and believe that, you know, the universe is going to send you who you're supposed to be with. But just be ready for it when it comes.
I believe that.
Be ready for it when it comes, though.
Oh, I'm trying to. That's why I'm reading right now. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, second book. I appreciate you supporting what I do.
Absolutely, always, man. Like I told you, me in my head, I told you a long time ago, me and you are best friends in my head.
Yeah. I read your DMs. I read them.
Mike, thank you very much for adding.
Hey, and Derek, real quick, man. I love you. I supported you. My first career that I used to do was in hair. So I love the whole hair thing that and I love the fact that you guys let me jump on real quick and just, you know, represent for us mass dudes,
right,
I guess, if you will. So thank you guys so much.
Well, you got a whole lot. It's a whole lot of stuff. This right here,
Eric Harris. Eric Harris said, "Mike Watson, call me."
Yeah, you got a lot. It's a lot of people checking for you here, Mike. So you might want to.
Well, give him my IG. Tell him to hit me up on IG.
Well, what's your IG? What's your IG, Mike?
I think it's Cutter. Oh man, I don't.
You don't even know your IG?
I don't. Man, I'm 47. Man, I'm not with you. You know what I mean? I'm not with that
Let me
stuff
look
like
at your
that.
DM real quick. Wait, because you tagged me today when you posted the book.
I did, and I also sent you a picture of me saying he's 47.
I saw that.
No disrespect to yours.
No. I know your Instagram is Cutter Mike 01. CUTTER MIKE 01. That's his Instagram. So go ahead and jump in his DMs.
Slide in his DMs, y'all.
PG though. Keep it PG.
Keep it PG.
PG.
Right. He ain't with that shit. He done told you he not on Grindr and Jackson. Don't go send him no nudes and shit.
Nah. I'm looking for my ever. I ain't looking for a one night. I'm looking for my ever.
Come on, somebody.
You know what I mean?
He's a man of a particular age.
But thank you, Mike.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good
wait
night.
for the next one.
Yes.
Thank
be
you.
safe. Click on. Charles, now we trying to close out. Now you just coming in here. Where you tuning in from?
Listen, I'm always missing y'all's live, so I thought let me try it. Let me try it. If they answer, they answer. If not, then it's fine.
Okay, Charles, where are you located?
I'm in South Carolina.
Come on, South Carolina. I was just there a few weeks ago, about a month ago.
Yeah, I'm not that far from Columbia.
Okay, we were in Charleston. But what did you want to add to this?
So I just wanted to kind of just drop a little thought into the conversation. I think the way that we think about masculinity and femininity is a little bit warped. And I know we talk about how a lot of this stuff is social construction, but the idea of like femininity, for instance, is more so related to like a passive kind of identity, someone who is, you know, more nurturing and a little more, not necessarily docile, but a little more reserved and quiet, and not necessarily like, I don't know, what's been deemed women's attire or something like that. That's not necessarily what femininity is, and masculinity might not be the exact antithesis to it or the opposite of it, but if you can, you know, think of antonyms, I guess, for the words that I just gave, I think that is more what we should be considering when we have the conversation around masculinity and femininity, and not so much the performative or expression of what it is. And also, I think a lot of the issue in the community has to do with people not being honest about being uncomfortable with certain things. You know how, for instance, someone who might consider themselves to be more masculine and being bothered by another gay man who is more feminine, maybe you're bothered because you've been told if you show this, then that's a problem. Like if you exhibit that type of behavior, it's a problem. When it's not a problem, it's just who you are. And it's unfortunate that a lot of men cannot, especially in the Black and brown community, cannot be fully themselves 100% of the time. So,
and just real quick, one of the things that you just said, it kind of triggered me to think about a friend of mine, former friend of mine. He worked in finance, like that was his day job, but his passion was interior design. But he would not he did not want to dibble and dabble into interior design because he deemed that as, speaking of what you were talking about, social constructs, he felt like that was a more feminine career. And so but eventually he got into it and he loved it. And he was, he was really great at it, but he was very resistant for a very long time. So I can imagine like the guys who present as masculine, who want to be a hairstylist or a makeup artist, and they don't want to do that because it's quote unquote a woman's career, or
Exactly.
Yeah.
But thank you very much, Carl.
Thanks for answering, you guys. I'm sorry I was late.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Okay.
All right.
They want us to leave tonight.
They want us to leave tonight.
So, just to recap, you guys, in 2 weeks, we are looking for heterosexual men that don't see it for the gays, that would like to have the conversation.
Or even if you have evolved and you're okay with it, but you formerly
had that issue.
Yeah, you had that issue. We want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And we know some of you are watching. It ain't just women and gay men watching,
right?
And trans people. We know.
So please email us at GLM Convo, ladies, and everybody. If you know a guy that's like that, challenge them to have the conversation.
Encourage him to, yes.
No, challenge.
Yes.
Challenge them to have a
That's the word.
Yeah, challenge them to have the conversation.
You're right.
So And that's it for tonight.
All right. Thank you guys. Be safe.
Be safe.
Stay away from the coronavirus.
Yeah.
I don't have my mask right here, but we have masks over at CraigTheWriterStewart.com. You can go over there and purchase you a mask or two.
Y'all have a good night. Bye.
Bye, y'all.